Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Keisha, and I hope that you are doing well whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this. If you have not already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can be in the loop for this series that I am doing on Cain and the fall of the first family. Okay. So I told you in the last video that in this video we were going to talk about some of the attributes of Cain. And I am not going to tarry. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm not going to do all of the attributes. I'm going to just do some from the book, okay? All right, so if you see me looking down, I am looking at my book for notes, okay? All right, okay, so let's look at our attributes, okay? All right, some of the attributes of Cain that we should be watchful of are extreme selfishness. Now, we know that this thing of narcissism is a thing of our culture, and we are extremely selfish. And when I hear people say narcissistic or whatever, people have, they're narcissist or whatever, it just simply means they're extremely self-consumed, they're extremely selfish. And I do believe that many people in Western culture have some level of narcissism. I just do. Some level of extreme selfishness, okay? But anyway, who am I? Some random lady on the internet, but I digress. So he was extremely selfish. And the reason why I say that he was extremely selfish is because he had no regard. Wait a minute. He had no regard, no regret for what he had done to his brother. After he killed his brother, he was worried about being banished to the outside world. He felt like somebody was going to kill him, which they should have, I'm just saying. So he was extremely selfish. He also had no empathy. He had no empathy at all. No regret, no regard for human life, right? And I believe that looking at that story, that he had little to no empathy because a lot of that behavior was learned. I do believe just reading from the story and applying narrative criticism, research techniques, I do believe that a lot of Cain's behavior was a response to the environment that he grew up in. And when you are starting to get out into the world and you're starting to date and commingle and cohabitate and, oh, I like you so much, I'm ready for us to do this thing, yada, 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 XYZ, right? I think it's very important to know if somebody is extremely selfish or not, right? And I don't mean in a way where they are stingy or anything like that, stingy or tight with money or something like that. Now, we can talk about that another time, but I'm talking about deep-seated selfishness, and not where you shouldn't be looking for nobody's money, no way. I feel like everybody need to come to the table with their own little coin. Now, if we combining coins, that's cool, but I'm talking about this extreme selfishness where you have no regard for how that person will feel if you do a particular action, right? Okay. The next attribute of Cain that I noticed in his story is he was extremely emotionally unintelligent. And I believe that just analyzing this story, I believe he learned that from his mama. Cain was emotionally stunted. He was emotionally unintelligent. Cain endured some level of trauma, and he couldn't see or accept being the man that he was because at some age he stopped growing. At some age he stopped maturing. Like, his emotional growth was not nurtured. And we certainly know it wasn't nurtured in Eve, right? Because she apparently didn't have any parents. She wasn't developed, right? So I know that's hard to hear, but I'm just saying, I'm just looking at the story. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not trying to dig deep down in theology. We just only going by the things that the narrative gives us, right? So when you are dealing with somebody who is emotionally unintelligent, they don't give a rip how you feel. They don't care how they make you feel. They are unable to put themselves in your shoes to understand if they do something, how it makes you feel. That is why when you cry, they aren't moved. That is why when you try to tell them what they did wrong, they are all of a sudden the victim. You not the victim. They are the victim. Right? And another thing, he could not handle criticism. Last and not least that we're going to do for this video, he couldn't handle criticism. How many people have you seen out here? How many people have you seen out here that is emotionally unintelligent? You tell them something, say something to them, they get a nasty attitude. They get rowdy, they get upset. You can't tell them that they know everything. They want you to go along to get along, right? They're extremely selfish. They want you to bend over backwards for them, but they don't want to bend over backwards for nobody else. It's all about them. And these are some of the attributes that I believe that Cain exhibited. And I think he did those things because he had unhealed trauma. He had that mother wound. And quiet as it's kept, his dad is absent from this story, so I believe he got a mama wound and a daddy wound. He ain't had no mama. He had a mama, and I think this is worse, is when you got a mama, but you ain't got no mama. I said what I said. I think that this is worse than not having a mama. It's having a mama and you ain't got no mama. You got a mama, but you don't have a mother. And I believe that looking at this story and writing about it in this story is why femicide, especially black femicide, will continue to grow in this country. Not even just in this country, just throughout the globe. We have been conditioned. We live in, and I'm not no feminist by no stretch of imagination. I'm not. I don't subscribe to any of these man-made ideologies at this point in my journey, because I feel like that's what's wrong with a lot of people. And I do know this if I don't know nothing else. You got a lot of people out here that don't, you got a lot of me, and I don't hate men, but you got a lot of people out here that low-key hate women. They're attracted to them, but they hate them at the same time. You're attracted to a woman, but you hate her in the same breath. Help it make sense, because that's what we say down here in the backwoods. We don't say make it make sense. We say help it make sense. You got a lot of people out here that don't like women because they don't like their mama. They had a bad childhood. They had a really poor upbringing. Their mama didn't give them enough hugs. Their mama didn't give them enough kisses. Their mama didn't nurture them. Their mama would probably punch them and say, shut up and stop crying. You a boy. You ain't supposed to cry. Hold your head up. I'll never forget a family member and we were talking. And she told me she did not hug her son. And I'm like, girl, what? He a boy. He ain't supposed to cry. He ain't supposed to do it. I'm like, baby, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. You better hug your son. That's not your fault. That's for his daddy to tell him that. You don't tell him that. As the mama, you supposed to be his safe space. You supposed to be his nurturer. You supposed to make the boo-boos be all right. When they scratch their knee, they come to you, or they hurt themselves, they coming to you crying. They want you to make it all better. They daddy gonna tell him to toughen up. That's his job. You do your part. But I do believe, just like in this story, let me go back to where I started. I do believe that in this story, growing up, Cain didn't even get toughened up. I can only imagine the amount of abuse that happened in that household that would create a child to kill another child. I said what I said. I can only imagine the amount of abuse that took place in Adam and Eve's home to produce a child that could kill another child. Before Cain could wound somebody else, he had to first be wounded. Hurt people hurt people. Like I said in my last video, I believe Cain was rejected. I believe that Cain was abused. I believe that Cain did not get enough hugs, loves, and kisses because of what he represented. Right? So, I'm going to talk a little bit more in my next video about some more of the attributes of Cain and how you can apply this just to your real world day-to-day life and being able to decipher and discern people out here in these streets. All right, this is going to be all for today, and thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right.